Welcome. Today's topic is not sure. It was supposed to be about. It was supposed to be about. Am I trying too hard in the sense of social relationship? But just before this video, just before I start recording, I thought about work again. Got kind of pissed. So, yeah. I think I want to say if you feel your work is awful, right? Just know that a lot of people face this sort of thing, and it's not you, right? It's the workplace, it's the management or whatever. And the revenge is just live a good life, right? Get money, have a healthy relationship, have money, have a good body, right? Because end of the day, there's no consequence. To be fair, because I talk to my parents, I talk to my friends, I talk to my family friends, right? We've all faced experiences where there was such an unreasonable manager. Really unreasonable, right? Not just this guy doesn't do his work, just this guy didn't finish his work one time, the guy started yelling, throwing his stuff on the floor, it's absolutely horrendous behavior. And the day, these people don't face any financial consequences, right? They can sell their jobs. They might open a company, do big company, right? And it's just to say, if you have this idea that you can hurt them financially, then I don't think it's gonna work, in my opinion. And I'm just doing it for myself and stuff like that. That's not a valid strategy. As much as they might want to do that, I think the best strategy is just to live a good life and be a good person, right? Do better for yourself. Because all these people that have faced toxic bosses, or my family friends, my parents, they've done pretty well in life, right? They financially doing well, marriage they're doing well, health they're doing well, children, they got friends, hobbies. So these toxic people, right? These fucking horrendous people, right? They're not gonna permanently affect your life, right? You can still move on, you can still do better, right? The key is to just forget about it. Not forget, I don't say forget, just live a good life. And if what they did was so bad and you want to remember, just write down their names, right? Just write down their names. That's what I want to do, is just write down the names, what they did, what happened, so you always have that memory, right? Because whenever I think about doing this, there's this sort of person in my head that says, no, you shouldn't do that. The why? You should forgive and forget. Yeah, I can forgive, but I cannot forget, right? Yeah, that was a tangent. Basically, I think I want to start writing down the names and my sort of review, right? And you don't necessarily need to post online, because again, it won't make a difference in my opinion. But just write down the names, what they did, and in that sort of note, then you always remember, right? Then you have evidence, or you have proof to yourself that this happened. It's many cases where I talk to people, and even after 20 years, they still remember what the guy did, and still remember the names, bro. Yeah, I think that's a good idea, man. Because at least we gain some sort of control agency back from them, right? That's what I want. We need to regain control agency back. Fuck them, right? Fuck them. We're not gonna do anything that we can, right? But at least we can write down their names, write down what they did, so I can still remember 20 years later, right? Maybe there's opportunity where they could work with us. I can say, no, I don't recommend this person because XXX, right? That's a bit of a negative start to the video, but I'm saying this because whenever I think about it, there's always this person in my head. I don't know who, but it just says you shouldn't do that. It's like a bad person, you're being a bad person, but why? Why should I forget what they did to us, right? Because it's why? Why can't I do this, right? Why are you so scared, right? That we remember, so? Well, maybe you shouldn't treat us that badly, man. If you can justify your action, saying for example, if you're a salesman and there's a quota, and you don't meet a quota, and I have to fire you after I've given you 3 chances, then okay, well, even if the guy's angry, then you can justify your actions, right? So you shouldn't be scared. Even for me, let's say in the future I'll be a manager, right? Maybe sometimes I'll be angry, but maybe it's a $10 million project, $100 million project, right? And this guy that I'm angry with is getting paid $20K per month, right? And I expect better. Then I could absolutely justify my actions, right? I can absolutely justify my actions. I wouldn't worry that a guy will be hold a grudge, because I'm being reasonable, right? So if you have that mindset, why should these people be scared? They shouldn't be, right? But I think some people, the way they act is absolutely horrendous. It's unreasonable at all. And if there was a camera following them around, and most people watch this video, and they give full context, they wouldn't agree with actions, right? But again, these people, nothing bad will happen to them, right? Statistically speaking. So, gotta live your life, move on. But the key is write down their name. What did they remember, man? Never forget. Because these people don't deserve to be forgotten, right? They don't deserve to be protected. They already protect your manager, right? because they do a good job, or they get the job done no matter the cost. But I remember, man. People like us who got hurt, we should remember, right? Even 20 years later, I remember, right? I remember this scene from, like, I think it was an Australian show, In Between Us, where there's this guy. He's not a good guy, right? He's a gangster, but he talks to his old teacher, and his teacher is like, was such a, like, a horrendous person. He, like, put out cigarettes in his hand or something like that. I don't know. So something really bad, like, even, like, just so bad, right? That even if the kid was being a bit naughty, like, you shouldn't treat a kid like this. And he tells teacher, oh yeah, I remember this. And the teacher's like, you shouldn't, yeah, man, I don't remember that. But did you try to dismiss it lah? Say, oh, normal people don't hold on to things like that, remember? Then the guy was like, maybe, but that happens, right? You do stuff to people, they remember. I think that's such a good line, because I think, like, most things in life, people do bad to you, like, it's okay. Most times you'll forget, right? But for a few things you remember, and you can remember, you should remember. And I don't think this idea of, like, you being that teacher saying, oh, normal people don't hold on to stuff, like, who's to say, man? Who is to say? If you want to hold on to, you hold on to it, right? Fuck this idea that you should forget. Right? Fuck it, man. Like, if they really did something bad to you, right? You should remember if you want to, right? If you want to, right? Remember the names, remember what they did. Fuck this idea of forgetting about it. I really fuck it. I hate this idea. I don't know why. Okay, I think that's it, man. Just live a good life. Do whatever you want. If you want to remember, just remember, man. Like, fuck this idea of forgetting, right? Like, fuck it, right? You can't do anything, right? What am I gonna do? Like, I can't do anything. So I can write down and remember. 20 years later, maybe, like I said, maybe there's a chance. There's a chance they could work with us. I could say no, and I don't get to work with this person anymore. Who knows, man? That's our revenge, right? You do bad things to people, they remember. That's it. All right, let me switch gears, man. I think I'm running in a loop here. Okay, about this other topic. In terms of socially, right? Am I trying too hard? Because sometimes I get this sense that I'm trying too hard in terms of friendships, right? I'm trying too hard to be friendly. I'm trying too hard to talk to people. I'm trying too hard to organize things, and I just look at other people where they're like chilling, man. They just be themselves, it feels like, and then people just talk to them, right? Whereas for me, sometimes I feel like I have to try so hard just to get some friends, right? Like, I'm exaggerating, obviously. I think I'm exaggerating because I know, like, I don't have this idea where, like, I need to be useful for people to like me. I don't think that's my mindset. Because I think people like me for who I am, not what I do for them. But it just feels kind of weird sometimes, because, like, I mean, it could be the case that I don't see the effort of other people. But it just seems like some people are just effortless at making friends, right? They just be themselves, they're calm. And for me, it seems like I really have to try. And it's just, yeah, the gap is just kind of big. The gap is kind of big, man. Who knows? The gap is kind of big. Yeah. Oh my god. Recording these videos are much harder, I remember. I think I should be more detached in terms of friendships. Because I watched a Instagram reel or something where it said, like, hangouts should be more casual nowadays, because we have a lot more options of what to do. We all live far away, we're on our phones, right? Money's tight. So it's not the old school way where everything's formal, everything needs to be organized. It just be more casual, both in terms of the planning, the event, and the outcome. So that's what I've been trying to recently, be more casual in terms of friendships, not put too much stock into them, and hope that maybe in terms of outcomes they're worse, but in terms of sustainability it's better. It's really windy today. I don't know if you can sense it, but it's really windy, so it's really cold. Well, this will be my 8th video, so yeah, I'm already running out of topics to talk about. I think in terms of forgiveness, I'm not very good at that, because I tend to hold on to things, even small things. I still remember, because I tend to wear my emotions on my sleeve, heart on my sleeve. I think that's a term, which is good and bad. Good as in, like, when I say things, it tends to be exaggerated, but it comes from the heart, right? It's true. The bad thing is I take things too personally. I remember them. I think, and I think that hurts me in the workplace, because I think in the workplace, especially as you get higher income, you need to be more cold-hearted, because it's a job, right? We all know it's a job, but when it comes to high income pays, what's at stake is a lot more money, and people are gonna be a lot more abrasive, aggressive, blunt, direct, because it's a lot more money, right? And they expect from you that you're working a long time and we're paying you a lot, that you can handle that aggressiveness, that bluntness, that pressure, right? That expectation, which I think, at least to me right now, right? I never had a high income job before, but to me it's more acceptable, right? Whereas if you're an entry level job and they give this much pressure, this much bias, this much whatever, it's fucking unfair, right? And I'm sure most of you, if you're entry level, you know what I'm talking about. Or maybe because it's Asia, man. Asia is just like, I mean, if you know Asia, the work culture, it's quite rough, quite tough, right? For what? For a little reward. So back in our parents' day, like, they had a lot worse. I'll admit it, they had a lot worse, right? But their salary for entry level, I feel like, could buy a lot more than what we could buy now, right? Like, I'm confident in saying that, right? You could look at starting salaries from 20 years ago to here. How much have they increased compared to the economy? How much have they increased compared to prices, right? Like, I'm living with my parents, right? And most of my friends are living with parents. My family didn't have to do that when they were young. They could live outside, right? So you could save money, buy a house. So just like, what are we working so hard for? It's even if you do economics in high school or secondary school, you'll come across the idea where people can. There's these two models, right? Where people make a lot of money. It's either they can work more because each hour is worth a lot more, or they work less because they make so much money they can afford to work less. And I've been thinking about that. For us, for my generation, right? This doesn't really work, because if you work harder, the gain is not that much, right? So might as well just relax. You know what I mean? Like, why work so hard? Because at the end of the day, like, what's the reward? Like, in terms of financially, there's no reward, because each hour you work extra doesn't gain you that much. It might in 10 years' time, but even that's uncertain. Let's say you work hard for 10 years, right? I get promoted. What's my reward? What's my salary, right? You don't know, bro. I don't know. 10 years, right? And like, the salary might only be a lot, but you have to consider the fact that for 10 years you worked hard. What kind of salary can you get? I'm sure it's a lot, but is it worth the sacrifice, right? And that's uncertain, because the projects could fail, this could fail. The people above you could be biased. They have someone else. There's someone with cable. There's like personal problems. There's whatever, right? And then you get your salary, and it's like and with the salary, it's not like you work less, you work more, right? There's more pressure, so it doesn't come for free. Even after you work 10 years, like, super hard. So is this really worth it, right? Like, what kind of lifestyle? Because I imagine you work 10 years, right, in corporate. I get the salary. What kind of lifestyle can I bring? Do I need to be financially stressed? I think so, yeah. In my opinion, yeah. Because I imagine you have kids, right? Your wife wants to be stay-at-home wife. You're still be financially struggling. No, I mean, I wouldn't say struggling, but it's not like you just spend money, right? Even after 10 years of working fucking hard. Whereas I feel like back in the day, like, you work 10 years really hard, you get your salary, and then you could just live lavishly, right? Nowadays, I don't think that's the case. Nowadays, if you work 10 years hard, 15, 20 years hard, you do all the skills, you do what's needed, you get the salary, you won't be able to live as lavishly as you would. Which just feels like, what am I working hard for, man? Like, just so, like, I can not be poor? It's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. And like, I think this is why, like, most people are having kids, right? So most people, their birth rate is going down. Because look, life is hard, man. Like, how can I bring kids to the world when I don't know if their future is going to be better than mine? When I don't have a good future, right? When even I spend 10 years working hard, I get this money, I still have to, like, budget. Like, it's like, why can't I live lavishly, right? I can if I don't have kids. But I do have kids. Not now, but like in the future. So, like, I mean, I'm sure most of you know what. I mean, if you're Gen Z, you sort of understand the stuff that I'm putting through. But there's nothing we can do, right? Like, we just have to move forward day by day. And even for me, I'm thinking of delaying having kids just so I get my finances in order, because, like, economy is tough, man. Like, the only good thing I can think of, not only, but like, if I have kids late and then they grow up, by that point, youngsters will be in high demand, that what they experience will be much better than what I experienced. Because you look at Japan, whose youngsters are finally like disappearing, and it's starting to affect the workplace, even though from it's only at the top, slowly trickling down, right? But finally, they get like, no, I can move around. They can move around. They can negotiate. They can not listen to their bosses much. They don't have to go to these like drinking things. I think Japanese people, they drink at 2 a.m. with the boss, and it's kind of forced. But now they don't have to do that with any like they don't. Before you could not do that, but there's negative professional consequences. Right now, there's no consequences because there's not enough young people, right? So like young people have it much better. At least those people at the top, right? So it starts from the very top to the bottom. So if you're like in the black company, or they call it black company, I think, which just treats you really well, you're still not feeling it, right? But you have to consider. Japan's economy and culture is the most stagnant, or like, the most stagnant. Like they refuse to change. So even them who refuse to change, who like likes to keep things same time, follow the culture, follow the rules, even they're being forced to change. What's some more country like us, right? Country in Asia, which okay, like yeah, our culture sucks, but I argue we're a lot more flexible than Japan, right? So if for like we would reach that point much earlier than them in our cycle in terms of the elderly and the young ratio, right? And I can't wait for that because then my children will have a much better life than me, and hopefully when we reach that point, even in Japan, middle-aged people like 40 years old or late 30s are also experiencing a benefit because they can finally move companies, because companies in Japan are like, when you're that highly skilled, they don't follow the usual seniority based promotions. So just because you've been here 20 years you get promoted, it's going to more skill based, right? So even these middle-aged people can afford to jump around, not do XXX. So I'm hoping that's me when I'm 40 plus, right? There's not enough youngsters, companies have adapted. I can just say, look, I want this salary, I want this, I don't want to go to this meeting, right? And you don't have to act so deferentially to your boss, right? Because of course, I understand it's your boss, right? But there's a difference between acting so like differently, right? Because at the end of the day, the boss is like a worker too, right? We both have skills. We both bring some workplace, right? Why do you have to bow down so much? Because I'm scared of my boss, right? But I don't think you should be that scared. Because at the end of the day, we're workers, right? I don't know, man. I'm rambling. People have told me I ramble because in the workplace, whenever I try to explain something, I talk really fast, and then people don't get what I mean. So I've been trying to improve that, and I'm not sure these videos help. Because to be honest with you, I'm just like rambling as I would normally, just that there's no one stopping me. So maybe one day after many videos, I'll try to do one of those speech exercises. So to change how I speak, because I know there's different techniques. So cadence, meaning like right now I'm talking at a not correct. I'm talking at the same speed, but it could be more like I talk slow, like hello, na 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 na, like that. I think that's cadence. There's pitch, right? But I don't know if that works for me. I just like to talk, to be honest. Yeah, I'm hoping when I'm 40, the labor market is better, because then there's less young people so then once there's less young people, they affect entry-level jobs, right? Companies will be forced to adapt, and then it will affect middle-aged people, because then these companies need some more experience. So that's me, right? 20 years I'll be experienced, middle-aged, assuming AI doesn't take all our jobs. It's like, it's such a scam, bro, because like they all say like AI will take our jobs, and then 6 months later they change it to because they're scared, bro. Because if AI is really taking our jobs, then we as workers need to do something, right? We need to tax companies more, tax rich people more, because if we don't do it now, we can never do it. Because these rich people, they're gonna use AI, they get a lot richer. So why can't we tax them, right? Your wealth is gonna times 10. Well, I'm gonna tax you more, right? You're only gonna times 10. So what are you scared of, bro? So, yeah, this is not really organized. I'm very thirsty. Yeah, it's not very organized, man. Other than that, I think that's it. That's it for today. I got 1 minute left, so let me see if I can think else to say. God. Every generation, I feel like economy is getting worse and worse, man. Like ever since I was young, all I hear about the job market is tough, man. It's tough to find a high income job. It's tough to this. Like when can I ever hear in Malaysia the job market is good? Like when? There's never been a time. Maybe for like oil and gas engineers, but that's a small market. When's my turn? When's the rest of us turn? It's not gonna happen, bro. Because Asia likes to exploit its labor. All it has been, right? When have I ever heard in Southeast Asia, right, or Asia in general, that we have good labor market. We haven't, because it's the nature of what the historical evidence suggests that they like to exploit us, right? Anything that helps us, the workers, it gets punished because the companies are scared, right? Because they know, like, if this passes, they'll lose their bargaining power, right? They'll lose their leverage. It means we get to get paid more at the very least, right? But they're scared, so they keep fighting us. Okay, this is getting a bit political, but yeah, 20 minutes. Hopefully, the changing demographics will force companies to treat us better. Finally, right? Finally, I get to get paid a lot and I can afford a lot of things. I get exploited like a dumbass. Alright, video's ending. Bye bye.